Legislations, acts, and regulations. Legislation or statutory law is law which has been enacted by legislature or other governing body. In Canada, on federal level, legislation or acts are passed by Parliament of Canada. On provincial level, it's done by provincial legislatures, or it could be on a municipal level by municipal legislatures. Some examples of federal or Canadian legislations are Criminal Code, Child and Family Services, Canadian Environmental Protection Act. Another very important federal act is Canada Labor Code. This is the principal piece of legislation. It governs certain statutes in respect to labor. In Ontario, it's enforced by Ministry of Labor. The objective of the code is to facilitate production by controlling strikes and lockouts, occupational health and safety, and employment standards. Keep in mind that this code applies only to federally regulated workplaces. In Canada, federally regulated workplaces where Canadian Labor Code applies are in interprovincial companies, communications like television, crown corporations like Canada Post, federal employees, railways, airports and airlines, banking institutions. This Canada Labor Code in reality only covers about 10% of the total workforce in Canada. Then we have on provincial level legislation. One of them is that covers professional engineering. Professional engineering has its own provincial legislation. This is enacted by Professional Engineers Act in Ontario. And at the end, we have municipal level legislation. Local governments are generally well managed and well liked by their citizens compared to other levels of governments. Here is one legislation, one bylaw by City of Toronto. Here deals with the speed bumps in Toronto and so on and so forth, just as a sample. Regulations are next level or on hierarchy and are subordinate to legislations. Again, they're enacted by governing body. In Canada, the cabinet has the authority to make regulations, right? And regulations set out the details of matters which are covered generally in enabling statute. These regulations can be interpreted in light of governing statutes and regulation as a whole, which may include definitions. Some samples of federal workplace regulations are ones that cover buildings, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, boilers and pressure vessels, lighting, and so on. Federal workplace safety regulation, they cover Hazardous Products Act and Controlled Products Regulations. Another one is WHMIS and MSDS, Material Safety Data Sheets. You guys all know about this. Provincial regulations, they cover all the rest of the workers. As I mentioned before, that federal regulations cover approximately only 1 million workers, right? But provincial regulations will cover, all the rest of the workers. Some examples of provincial regulated workplaces are construction, industrial, mining, and so on. As I mentioned, they account for 90% of total workplace in Canada. They cover, many workplace hazards like machine guardings when you build, your machinery or robotic cell, building safety. What do you have to have, helmet and so on. First aid, lighting, and air quality. Each province and territory will have their own occupational health and safety regulations and acts. They were created to outline specific rules and procedures under occupational health and safety to address specific workplace and hazards. In Ontario, we have about 20 sector-based regulations under Occupational Health and Safety Act. Most important for us is regulation for industrial establishments, which is regulation 851, because this one covers manufacturing facilities. Then important one is regulation for construction, could be a regulation to exposure to biological or chemical agents or VMS, and regulation for mines and mining and so on.